Hello, my name is Prabhakar. Welcome back to Google Custom Actions Development. In this session, I'm going to explain how to develop Google Custom Actions and integrate with the Google Home Mini devices. Your Google Home Mini device, which will look like this, and it will come up with the various sizes, Google Home and Google Home Mini. First of all, let's check what is Google Home. Google Home is a smart and powerful speaker and voice assistant that uses artificial intelligence to answer your queries and obey certain commands. We can use a Google Home to get answers and also play the songs and tackle your day and set your reminders and enjoy your entertainment and a lot many more. And we can also get personalized with the help of your schedule, reminders, news, and a lot many more. These all are pre-programmed tasks and those devices are tightly connected with the Google services. Here, I'm going to explain and demonstrate how we can develop our own custom actions in order to serve your customized questions. You can ask any questions, and for that question, you can design, you can develop a solution, and your Google Home will reply to your customized questions. Like, take a backup of my personal work and change my laptop password, shut down your services, check progress of your work and your team velocity, and check your bill status and lot many more. Before doing that, here I'm separating my business logic from Google Dialogflow using a webhook so that all my business logic will be in a different service and my natural language processing will be in a different service. I will explain all the components and the tools which I'm using for developing this solution in the upcoming slides. I will make a good use of this opportunity to explain how to develop a Google Home custom actions. Without any further delay, let's quickly embark on a journey of Google Home custom actions. This is our agenda. First of all, I will go through Dialogflow agent creation, so where we can do the natural language processing. Next, I will create a webhook and I will integrate that webhook with Dialogflow. And next, I will deploy these webhook changes into Heroku public cloud. And I will integrate my Dialogflow with the Google Home Mini device. So first of all, Dialogflow. So inside this Dialogflow, I'm going to create agent, intents, and training phrases, build a responses models, and train the model. So before jumping to all these points like agenda, agent creation, and intents, first of all, let's see that what is Dialogflow. A Dialogflow agent is a virtual agent that handles conversation with your end users. It is a natural language understanding module that understands the synthesis of human language. Dialogflow, which translate end user text during the conversation to structured data that your apps and services can understand that. Before accessing a Dialogflow console, so for accessing a Dialogflow console, you can go to Google, type Dialogflow. Here is my Dialogflow. For accessing a Dialogflow, you have to set up Google account, Google Cloud account. So in order to access a Dialogflow and a Google Actions, since all these services are tightly coupled with the Google Cloud, I will provide all these details in a below description. So you can go through that and then you can create a trial account for 365 days. And by using this trial account, you can play with the Google Cloud services and along with, you can work with the Google Dialogflow and the Google Custom Actions. So now let's go to Dialogflow console. As I described in my previous slide, so I'm going to perform the following actions in my Dialogflow so that it will understand my sentence and then accordingly it will give the response. So for doing that, first of all, I have to create a project here, and for doing a project, so here I can create a project here. There are a lot of options are available here. A Dialogflow agent is a similar to a human call center agent. You can train them both handle the expected conversation scenarios, and your training does not need to be overly explicit. And you can provide any sample training phrases, and it will train it itself by using machine learning algorithms. And you can ask similar questions, and then you will get the response. So for doing that, I'm creating a agent here. The agent is nothing but a project here. I'm creating the project name is a sample. Let's say sample underscore demo. This is the project name which I'm creating here. Create it. So other options, you can leave it blank. And if you want to specify any time zone and the default language preference, you can specify those values also. As I said, you had to create a Google Cloud account. So in order to perform any actions on the Dialogflow. So now my project is created, and it will take some time to create agent and then put some default settings and other stuff. You can see the pop-up here still setting up. And so before doing that, I can do some additional configurations here. So if you see that in the left side panel, so I have intents and I have entities. These intents are nothing but it actually categorizes an end user intents. For example, if I say I'm suffering from fever, this conversation comes under the health related category. And if I say I'm planning to enjoy my vacation at Goa, this conversation comes under travel or occasion category. I'm planning to buy a car. This conversation comes under transaction or automobiles. So such a categorization we can do easily with the help of Dialogflow intents. So intents are very useful to categorize end user conversation. By default, it will come up with a few system intents like a name, places, and locations. So I will go through that. So I'm creating the sample intent here. If I say my intent name is first intent, and there are a lot of other options are available here. So if you see that the context, events, training phases, and the responses and other options, this context is nothing but, so it will identify the context of the use sentence. So for example, if I say I'm planning to go to bank for opening a saving account, in some way, some context is they may think that okay, they are going to bank for opening an account, and someone can say that okay, they are going to bank for doing some financial transactions. So the context, we can define that. Based on that context, we can dynamically form the responses. This event is nothing but, suppose if I click any button, if I click OK, or if I click a cancel, I want to perform some actions. So for that, I can use the events. So this Dialogflow is moreover very helpful for creating the dynamic and artificial intelligence enabled chatbots, where we can perform our actions with the help of natural language processing. And the training phases are nothing but, so we can define some sample training phases. Based on these training phases, so it will automatically train it itself, and we can perform the actions out of that. And actions and parameters and responses, we don't require to fill all the details. So I'm going to fill only training phases for this demo, and I'm going to fill the responses. And at the end, so I can demonstrate how this fulfillment will work. So if I go to training phases, and here I'm adding some training phase here. So if I say, so I'm entering, my name is Prabhakar. So if I enter that, so if you see that, okay, so the name is automatically detected that it is a name, okay. So if I say, I'm from India, so geo country, it will automatically detect. So if I say I'm from Pune, so did you notice that it will not detect anything? So some of the locations it will not detect, but still there is a flexibility inside a Dialogflow. So you can select the word and you can map it accordingly. Okay, here it is nothing but it's a location, okay, or maybe it is address. So such a way we can map it accordingly. So for the time being, we are not going in depth of how we can define the entities, how we can define the default system intents and all. So I'm deleting the two entities. I'm using only my name is Prabhakar, and I'm using another sentence. If I say myself, Prabhakar. Okay, the two entities which I'm using. So this is also I'm marking it as a given name. So there are two entities I'm using it here. So now if I add any sentence like okay, my name is Prabhakar, so I want to get some response from the system. So I can go to the responses here. So I can add some default and dummy response here if I say, and hey, and name of the person. So before doing to the name of the person, if you go to the parameters, and here in the parameter, if you see that, okay, the default name which will come as a parameter as a given name. So I can mark it as a name for my convenience so that I can easily write a program for that. So if I say hey, and dynamically I can mark it as a name, and if I say greetings, and now you can save the changes. Okay, what I have done so far, I have specified only one training phase. My name is Prabhakar, and you can ignore the previous one. Myself is Prabhakar, and I responded back. My name is hi, and whatever the given name and greetings. So if I go here, if I say my name is Prabhakar, if I use my earlier sentence, which I have used in the training phase, my name is Prabhakar. If I use my name is Prabhakar, so I can get this kind of response. Okay, so hey, and whatever the name and the greetings, the name is automatically detected. So I used only one sentence for training my agent. So, but if I use any of the name, for example, I say my name is Praveen. So then it will detect that, hey, Praveen, greetings. And if I use any of the name, like my name is Ramesh or Rajesh. So hey, Rajesh, and greetings. So I can train my agent with one entity, one entry, and so it will train for the other entries which are famous. So if some of the entries are not detected, for example, if I say my name is Harsha, so system is not detecting that Harsha is a name. So for that, what we can do is here, if I say my name is Harsha, and we can map. So this Harsha as system entry. So I can say system entry. So this is how we can map it accordingly so that it will automatically detect the changes. So now we done for the one level. So now the next target will be I want to create a webhook like, so whatever my training phases, my responses, all are in the same website and same agent itself. But I want to actually separate my business logic and the response model out of the Dialogflow so that I can create my responses. I can write my own business logic and everything into separate server. So whenever I place a request on the Dialogflow, from the Dialogflow, it will automatically place the request to my server, and my server will give the response for the security reasons. Let's say I want to find out, okay, what is my bank balance? So if I want to find out my bank balance, what I can do, I can place a request, okay, can you check my bank balance on the Dialogflow? Dialogflow will place a request to my web service, and my web service will fetch the bank balance, and it will give that bank balance number to my Dialogflow. Dialogflow will display that entry into the Dialogflow console. So this is how I can segregate my business logic and my actual training phases and natural language processing in a different servers. So for doing that, we need to create a webhook, and we need to host that webhook into public cloud that should be accessible over HTTPS URL. So for doing that, if I open any of the Flask, or you can write your webhook by using any languages, like you can go for the Ruby on Rails or Java or Python, any language you can create that. So here I'm using a Python language. So for this Python language, so I can create a Flask application. With the help of this Flask application, I can create a sample webhook. So from that webhook, I can process whatever the entries I'm receiving from the Dialogflow, and then I can return the response accordingly. For doing that, what I can do, I'm creating a webhook here. So for doing that, I'm creating the endpoint here. The endpoint is the webhook. This is the endpoint which I'm using it here. So if I say webhook, and I'm not taking any input for that, and you can find this source code into my GitHub. GitHub repository. So all the details are mentioned description below. So here all the requests, whatever the requests are there, all the requests should be in the form of post request only. So I'm checking the method, and it should be in a post request. Before doing that, so I can define the methods here. It is my post request. So next, now I'm taking the response here. This is my request start and get underscore JSON. Whatever the response, I'm sending it from the Dialogflow, that is in a JSON format. Here you can observe that if I say my name is Praveen. So here, if you go to the diagnostic information, so here you can find that, okay, this is my API response, and which is in the form of the JSON format. So I have to pass my request also in the JSON format. In the parameters, I'm passing the name. My name is Praveen is my sentence, but it will automatically divide everything into the parameters, and it will send it to my webhook. Okay. Here I'm using the webhook, and inside a webhook, if you see that, I have to find out this my query result. So inside a query result, I have a query text where my actual message is there. So I'm doing that, and after fetching the query request, what I can do, so here I'm actually extracting my responses. So for doing that parameters, I'm fetching the parameters. Here is my query result. What I can do here is my query results. Get the request and request dot get underscore JSON, and get the JSON into the silent mode, and don't bother about the formatting, and it should be in a JSON format. And after doing that, so I'm fetching the data from the JSON and the key equal to query result. Once I fetch the query results, so inside the parameters, now I'm reading my parameters here. So parameters are nothing but here are the parameters, I'm reading that. So for doing that, what I can do inside my query result, here is my query result, and query results. Get all the parameters. So if the parameters are not available, you always return the blank, and you define the speech here. So for doing that speech, I can say hello, and followed by the name of the person, and that person name will come under inside the parameters and name. What I can say parameters dot get and the name, and if the name is not available, so I can return the blank. So now say save the change, and you can say glad to meet you. This is the sentence which I'm using. So, and I want to return that speech to my Dialogflow. So for doing that, I'm making some response here in the JSON format. So for doing that, I'm using a fulfillment text, and I'm sending the speech here written, and just make the JSON term format terms, and is a response, and some formatting is required for that. That's why I'm using indent equal to 4, so that your JSON will come into the proper structure format instead of sending it into a single line format. So and now I'm sending it as make response. Put your response here. After putting your response, I'm adding some additional headers. So in order to understand the content type here, I'm sending the content type. It should be in a JSON format. So I can say it's an application slash JSON format, and return R. Okay, return, I'm returning the response. This is how I want to do that. So after doing all these changes, what I can say, I want to actually upload this source code into any of the GitHub repository for pulling that data into my Heroku deployment. So for doing that, I'm opening the GitHub. So, and inside that, I'm creating a sample repository here. So I'm using my repository as, let's take an example. I haven't signed in. Let me sign in. I'm creating a new repository. I'm using this repository as a GoogleHome mini. And description is not required, and it is a public repository and initialized with readme file. So now my repository is created successfully. What I can do, the next step is, so as defined in my agenda. So if you go to the agenda, I'm creating the webhook. Webhook part is done. Now I'm deploying my webhook into Heroku. So for doing that, go to GitHub, and this is my repository, and I'm uploading the files which I have created. So here is my Google Home Mini, is my app. Save all the changes. Save the changes. And now my repository is ready, and I can start deployment. Once the deployment is done, so 90% of work is done, then we can directly go and then test the changes. You can ignore this vulnerability stuff. So because so inside my requirement.txt, there are some additional, the packages and versions are defined here. There is a vulnerability on this package, so that's why it is giving error. You can ignore for the time being. So now I want to deploy the changes into Heroku. Heroku is a public cloud, so and where you can go there and then you can deploy your applications on that. So as we discussed earlier, so for doing this separation of my business logic and actual natural language processing, here I'm using a public Heroku instance, and Heroku is a cloud platform as a service, and which support several programming languages. You can write a program, and you can develop an application and any of the programming language, and you can deploy it there, and it will provide required native libraries and the support for that. And if required, we can also go for the private Heroku instance for managing huge operations. I'm using a trial version so that I can perform a very simple operations and I can test it quickly. So now go to Google and then test a Heroku, and you can go to the heroku.com. So I already logged into the system, and here you can go to the new instance here and create a new app. Here I'm using the app name is, for example, Google Home Mini is my application name. This application is already available. So what I can say Prabhakar Google Home. This is the app name which I'm using. The app name should be unique across the globe and inside a Heroku application, so that it will serve betterly. And you can choose any of the region. That's not a matter. Now create an app. So once you create an app, so you can do the lot of stuff in a Heroku, but for the quicker and quickly deploying purpose. So what I'm going to do that. Okay, so I'm not going to explain all the features. Okay, how to create a pipeline, how to do the build deployment, how to trigger the notifications and all. So here I'm doing the simple GitHub deployment. So I already connected to my project. So here I can type the repository name here. You can type all the complete repository name or only specific keyword. So this is the repository which I want to connect. I can connect that. So once I connect that, so now it is connected. So you don't require to enable the automatic deployment. If you enable this automatic deployment, whenever you modify the source code, whenever you push the source code into GitHub, so it will download the latest source code and it will deploy again on the Heroku automatically. So I'm not enabling this automatic stuff. I'm doing the manual deployment by clicking this button, deploy branch. My branch is a master. Now deploy. So you can see the log, how this deployment is going on here. So inside our Flask application, we have two APIs. One is entry point, sample entry point. It's a root entry point, so which will return hello from Flask. Second entry point is a webhook, so where we can perform our Google Cloud, the request processing and sending some response. So we can add a more machine learning algorithms here for processing our request. Let's go here, and so it's almost deployed, and it's finishing that. Now it is successfully deployed. You can click on this link. When you get this response, it will indicate that, okay, your application is successfully deployed. So now what you can do is you can copy this link and go to the Dialogflow. And inside the Dialogflow, I don't want to get the response from my inside the system. I want to get the response from external server, external system. So for doing that, you can go to the fulfillment. Inside of fulfillment, enable a fulfillment. You can enable the fulfillment for the webhook. Okay. And after doing that, you can go to the fulfillment, save the changes, and now go to the fulfillment. Here is in the fulfillment, it will come up with the two flavors. Earlier, only webhook option was available, and now they have enabled the two options. One is that you can write the logic here itself, and the second option is that you can write the logic in an external server, and you can specify the URL of that server. This is my webhook where you can get the data, and my API, my endpoint is not a secured API, so that's why I'm not specifying any additional headers and authentication details here. Now go here and then save the changes. And once you save the changes, and you can go here and you can type the similar words like my name is Rajesh. Hello Rajesh, glad to meet you. If you see that, perfect. So in my intent, so I have defined that hey, and greetings. But what are the glad to meet you, which is actually coming from the my webhook. Okay, so that webhook where I have written the code here, and that code I have deployed it on my Heroku. So this is how we can create agent inside of my Dialogflow, where we can perform the natural language processing, and we can separate the logic by using a webhook, and that webhook we can deploy it onto Heroku public cloud. Next one is the final one is, now I want to test it with my Google Actions and Google Mini. So for doing that, so we should have a Google Home Mini device where we can test that. And before doing direct testing on the device, we can also test it on a simulator. So for doing the simulator, so you can go to the Dialogflow. There is an option called integrations, and inside this integrations, so it will come up with various options, various flavors. We can easily integrate our Dialogflow instance with any of the tool and any of the other systems. Like I can integrate with Facebook and Slack, Viber, Twitter, many things we can enable that. So it's a widely using for doing the artificial intelligence chatbot enabled, so that we can quickly take the survey from any of the system with the help of creating the artificial enabled chatbots using a Dialogflow. So for doing that, what I'm going to do that, okay, I'm using this Google Assistant. Click on the integration testing. And for doing the integration testing, so you enable the auto preview. After enabling the auto preview, so what I can say here is a first intent which I'm using, that whenever if I say hello, and my first intent should be invoked, and they should get the response accordingly. And now you click the test option. It will automatically redirect it to Google Actions. So where you can create your own custom actions, and where you can test it on the simulator. Once the simulator testing is done, we can directly test it on the actual physical device. So console.actions.google.com. So as I said earlier, you should have enabled a Google Cloud Platform account in order to perform any actions on the Dialogflow, any actions on the inside Google Actions. So, and here, if I say my name is talk to sample application.
Getting the test version of sample application for testing.
Hello, how can I help you?
So if I say my name is Prabhakar.
Hello, Prabhakar. Glad to meet you.
So now the response is coming, but I want to actually add additional settings, additional configurations. So in order to change the language, in order to change the voice, gender voice and everything. So what I can do, so I can go to my develop. Inside the develop options, there is an actions. Here is a sample application. If I say, okay, talk to my robot. Okay, this is the instance I'm using that, and I want to use the female voice here. Okay, so after using the female voice, so you can save the changes. So this is not acceptable, the sentence which I'm using it here. If I say talk to my personal robot, this is the sentence which I'm using. Save the changes. Again, this is that there is an issue on that. Okay, talk to my random robot. Your display name won't approved. Either it is too short, contain the restricted words. Okay, instead of using a talk, I can say my personal robot. Okay, personal or random robot. Okay, so now it is successfully saved. So now what I can do, so this is some kind of invoking name. So whenever I'm talking with the Google Home personal assistant device, so I can say, hey Google, and I want to talk to my personal random robot. So it will automatically invoke my intent, and then I can interact with my chatbot. If you see that here, what I can say, talk to my personal random robot, and if I say enter,
Let's get the test version of my personal random robot.
Greetings. How can I assist?
so if I say, okay, my name is Praveen.
Hello, Praveen. Glad to meet you.
Okay, and if I say my name is Harsha.
Hello, glad to meet you.
Why hello, there is no name? So because inside my Dialogflow, as discussed earlier, the Harsha is not detected properly. So for doing that, we can go there and then we can map it accordingly. So if I go to my intents and go to the first intent, and inside this intent there is a name, so that name I can map it to the properly according to the name. So if I map it for the name, so then the next time if I want to try it, then it will try it accordingly, it will work properly. So now let me show you that, okay, how it will work in a physical device. So let's check that. Okay Google, talk to my personal random.
Getting the test version of my personal random.
Good day, Prabhakar. How can I help you today?
My name is Prabhakar.
Hey, Prabhakar. Glad to meet you.
My name is Harsha.
Hey, Harsha. Glad to meet you.
My name is Praveen.
Hey, Praveen. Glad to meet you.
Stop. Thank you all. If you have any questions, please leave a comment on the comment section. So I will try to answer those questions. And in a follow-up sessions, so I'm going to explain how we are going to deal with physical devices and the hardware and the software. So if I want to directly contact and I want to integrate my laptop with the Google Home, and if I want to perform any of the actions with the help of Google Home, so I can easily go there and then I can place a command on my Google Home, and Google Home will do the work for me. Like if I say I want to change a password for inside my laptop, so it will change a password for me. And if I say I want to play some music and my music in my laptop, and I want to take a backup of my project, and if I say, okay, are there any tickets, are there any Jira tickets are assigned to me, so it will say that, okay, these are the set of tasks assigned to you. So this is how we can perform multiple actions on this. I will cover those stuff. So how we are going to create, how we are going to add artificial intelligence stuff inside my Dialogflow. Okay, Google, talk to my personal caretaker.
Here's the test version of my personal caretaker.
Hello Prabhakar, how can I help you today?
Can you introduce about yourself?
Prabhakar, my name is Susi. I am your personal assistant. I can help you to make your life easier. Do you want to see my capabilities?
Tell me your capabilities.
I can help you to check your bank balance, GitHub, Jira, backups, mail services, manage your personal computers, and I can also help you to manage your cloud instances and many more. Do you need anything else?
Can you open Jira?
Okay Prabhakar, I am opening Jira on browser. Do you need anything else?
Can you check my Jira tickets?
Prabhakar, you have 2 Jira stories assigned as of now. Do you need anything else?
Again, can you check my Jira tickets?
Prabhakar, you have 2 Jira stories assigned as of now. Do you need anything else?
What is my team velocity?
Prabhakar, here is your team velocity. Initial commitment 40%, final commitment 40% and completed work 20%.
Can you please play some video for me?
Prabhakar, let me play video for you.
We are the sounds of the streets.
Stop the video.
Okay, I have placed a request for stopping the video.
Can you open my mailbox?
Fine Prabhakar, I am opening your mailbox on browser. Please check it. Sorry, I couldn't hear what you've just said. Fine Prabhakar, I am opening your mailbox on browser. Please check it.
Can you please play some video for me?
Prabhakar, let me play video for you.
We are the sounds of the streets.
Okay. Now stop the video.
Okay, I have placed a request for stopping the video.
Call me sir.
Okay, I will call you sir. How may I help you today?
Can you please lock my computer? I done the demo.
Sir, I have placed request to lock your computer. Anything else?
Thank you.
I am here to help you, sir.
Thank you.